Got the ding. Tweeter ding. Good stuff.
All right, we're live, man. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Welcome everyone. It's the May 5th edition of the Crypto Flight Path.
It's
And welcome.
Cinco de Mayo. I forgot about that. In my youth, I used to enjoy that a lot for no good reason. It was another day to drink.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit of history of irresponsibly enjoying Cinco de Mayo as a younger person.
Hey, it's as good a reason as any.
My my liver's like, thank God that's over with.
Yeah. Well, today I thought we'd have a little fun, despite the banking world falling apart, and talk about meme coins and what they are, what purpose they serve in crypto, kind of our thoughts on it, and maybe tell people, what to be aware of. My main thing with this is the point I want to get across too is when you see all this stuff and all these people making millions of dollars overnight, it is happening, okay? Like there are people doing that. But what you have to watch out for is this is the kind of stuff that is prime for scams where people will, DM you and tell you, hey, I'm going to send you meme coin X, just send me your address, send me your private address, right? Like that's some of the stuff you have to be careful of, but we can get into all that. To start though, it looks like, Bitcoin's reacted quite well in the face of yet another interest rate hike and more banks looking like they're in trouble, which is always good to see from Bitcoin's perspective. The thing that's worrisome is what's going on with the banks. Like this idea that they come out and they keep saying the banks are sound and resilient makes me feel like the banks are not sound and resilient, right? And this is the problem that we have now with traditional media and our politicians and the people in charge. How do you trust them, right? And the answer is you can't. And so that's why these times are interesting, a little scary, but overall Bitcoin's held up pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. It has. It's done what it was intended to do. Here we are. This in the Genesis block. There's an inscription, and it says it's the headline of it's a snapshot of the current state of the world at that time, and yet time is a flat circle. And thank you, Matthew McConaughey. And here we are again, where the system as it has been architected and built out upon this premise of the debt-based system at the global scale now is starting to show the cracks. The cracks are there. The flaws are being exposed, and now it's just become a cycle of scrambling in the 11th hour, which is great for media publicity. Quite frankly, this is great fodder for the zeitgeist or the mainstream to give them something to talk about or broadcast. What I'm trying to get to here.
Although, to interrupt you real quick, they haven't really talked too much about all these banks failing.
Well, that's where I'm going, and but talk about like mind meld here. Where I was going with this is the thing that I don't like just as much, or perhaps even more, that I like even less. Or excuse me, I dislike the banks having problems, quite frankly. I dislike it because it just makes, life is challenging enough. We have to, we're born, we have to, figure out where we are, how to feed ourselves, how to basic survival. And then we go up a layer and our teenage and early 20s, we got to figure out how are we going to make it in the world as adults. I'm paraphrasing in broad strokes here. And, we got to, what am I going to do with myself, and how do I find my place in the world? At least this is just from what I remember being like deeply troubled at times early on in life. Like, what the heck am I going to do? I want to do this one thing, but I'm not, but I've got this talk track in my ear that I'm not going to survive. And there's all this crisis in the world and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the point I'm trying to get to is that when something is benign and supposed to be as stable as a bank, we've come to learn over the last 50 years as a society that it's the saying is, hey man, you know what? I believe in this so much. It's money in the bank, and meaning you could trust it. It was stable. It's going to be there tomorrow. Your wife might leave, your dog might run away, your kids might punch you in the face and steal your car and leave because they hate you for birthing them into existence, or being their parents. But what you could rely on more than anything else
God
is,
damn, that was deep there.
I know, but what I'm trying to say is that we get this, the mass, like this mass of humanity spread around the globe get these messages beamed into our faces by these screens, and these little screens and these bigger screens, and there's screens everywhere. And what I'm trying to get to is that I don't like it, but there's just some things you can't change in life. Like I can't change the sun rising in the east, for example, and we can't change the current system as individual. I mean, I'm certainly not going to be able to affect the change. Am I going to do it myself? No, but we have we have things that were developed to help give us comfort and peace of mind. And one of those is Bitcoin. Is where I was going with this. Is that this Bitcoin was born in crisis. It rose out of the ashes of the great financial crisis, and here we are again, where it exists. The next crisis has come along, and people are waking up, and they're like, "Wait a minute! I didn't know about this thing." And now we've gotten a big reminder. But the ultimate point was simply that, in the same way I don't like that the banks are having these problems, what I also don't like is how quiet. Like, I feel like we've gone quiet since Fed Day. Like, where's all of the calamity? Like, where's the next bank? Like, it's like I'm expecting uh, another round of breaking just in tweets from individuals that are piggybacking off of calamity and
Well,
pitch,
it's
or
like it's like the guy that drives me nuts, and I do like him, is that Kim.com, but God, is he a fear porn monger?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
he
like
is.
you can't live your whole life, scared, right? Like that's and these people get engagement from these tweets, and they have these Twitter spaces where they every little bit of thing they try to make a huge space out of and a huge deal out of, and there's a lot going on. Like, let's not be coy about it. Like, there's problems happening right now, but there's a lot of engagement farming going on, and I think you have to look at it through, zoom out and look at it through a lens of kind of like, yeah, there's a lot of problems going on, but look, there's always a lot of problems going on, and right now we live in a hyper media phase. Like, all of us live most of our days behind screens, and there are companies and individuals that pay for whatever message they want to hit your screens. And right now, the message they want is chaos and fear, right? And confusion. Because what's happening in the money system, in the banking system, is really, really bad. And so they'll throw everything else out there to try to get you to stop paying attention to that, which is why I don't think they're talking about it, truthfully, because that's the real problem. There's another balloon coming from Hawaii. It's like, okay, there's 8 regional banks on the chopping block, and you turn on the TV and they're talking about a goddamn balloon over Hawaii. Like,
That's the real problem here.
it's like, okay, great. Like, these balloons have probably been around forever, right? But and then the next day you'll get something from the government. Yeah, we found a UFO, and everybody's like, okay, like, they don't care. Like, we're so numb to all this stuff, and it is crazy. But in spite of all that, Bitcoin does not give a shit, and that's what's beautiful about it, right? And that's the idea that I will tell you this. I talked to my buddy yesterday, successful guy, owns his own trucking company, moved like 8 or 9,000 out of his bank to buy Bitcoin, and that was a large amount for him. And that same day, the bank terminated his account. So no reason, no, he'd been banking with them for 20 years, great client, and sent him a letter. We reserve the right to terminate the account. And so, look, if you're gonna do that as a bank, you something's wrong, right? And this idea that, like, look, it's happening, right? Like, you're starting to see people get frustrated with their banks and understand that, hold on a second, like, You mean my money in my bank is not my money, and I can't do whatever I want with it?
That's
You,
exactly right.
you
You
know,
hit the nail on the head. It is not.
it,
That's the biggest lie on earth is that our money is our own after we earn it. Like once we trade labor, time, energy, life force, all that stuff, and we get paid, like you don't own that money. It's on loan. It basically someone's. It's been put into an account that you have access to. But at any moment, like we're all worried about CBDCs, yes. But even today, we don't. You don't even have to have a CDBC to have someone decide that you. Oh, sorry, we can't serve you as so. Thing that a friend of mine said. He said, unless your business is politics, you should keep politics out of your business. And I think about that periodically. And here we are, we have banks who are now getting political. They're like,
well,
it's
it's competition.
politicizing these.
Well, and it's it's flat out competition because there are people that store large amounts of their wealth in Bitcoin that would have traditionally left it in a bank, right? And what we're waking up to is the fact that whether you store it in Bitcoin, gold, real estate, art, any sort of asset, it's a better play than leaving it in the bank. And here's the reason why. Two, you get 0.001% interest on the money in the bank, right? Interest rates now are at like 5.25% at the Fed, and I'm earning, 0.01% at my bank. And, just that reason alone, any reasonable person would say, hold on a second, why would I do that when I can make 5% in T-bills or money market accounts? Now, I don't necessarily like T-bills because you have to trust the government, and I don't. Like, and people, high finance will just laugh at me for that. But like, okay, like, fine. Like, well, what happens if the government defaults, right? Like, there are people that keep large amounts of money in these T-bills, right? Like tens of millions of dollars, and that's scary to me. Like, what was the tweet that I sent you? The guy basically said, I keep my savings in Bitcoin because of the fact that I want to keep my money like saved. And the point was that a bank will give you a return on your money because they're taking risk with it, right? That's the idea. In order for a bank to give you, 3% or whatever on your money. Now it's a little flawed in the fact that like, okay, they're probably just buying T-bills or something like that at 5%. But even then, right, you're still taking counterparty risk in the United States government, which may not be a risk. It may, whatever. But I thought that was interesting, right? Like, the
Yeah, it was
idea.
Mitchell Hodel. Mitchell Hodel.
It was a great thought.
It said your savings account only gives you yield, or your savings account only gives you yield is because banks are taking risk with your money, meaning your money in quotes there. I said, I prefer my risk-free, counterparty-free savings account, which is Bitcoin. And
Well, and the,
that's,
and the idea is just do what the banks are doing. Go out buy T bills yourself. Like if you want that, 5%. That's that. And so I think a lot of people will wake up to that and go, "Holy shit! Why am I keeping that money there?" And it's also easier to do now, right? Like there's, in the 80s and 90s, I don't know that it was that easy to do, but now it probably fairly easy to do. But those are it's all woven together in everything that's going on. And now you're sitting here going, well, is leaving my money in the bank, which when I put it in the bank, it's no longer my money, actually a safe thing to do? And to your original point, real quick, with the system isn't broken. The system's functioning exactly as it's designed. J.P. Morgan loves this. They're able to acquire banks for pennies on the dollar and consolidate their power. And so the way the system is designed is not for guys like you and I, or the normal people. It's designed to trickle power and wealth up, and so that's the grand con that's been perpetrated on us through the fiat money system since 1913, right? Ever since we went to central bank reserve currency. And that's why you're essentially a slave in this system, because your money becomes worth less every day, your taxes go up, and your purchasing power and freedoms go down under this system. And that's just the way it's designed.
yeah, the We used to be able to, or we can still carry US dollars in cash, paper bills today. Yes, we can. But that used to be the way to do things. And your money literally was your own. And you could take it and put it in a bank account if you wanted to, or you could stick it in, this classic example of people, the latter generation looking back at the previous generation who stored currency in their mattresses and laughing at them and thinking, ha ha ha, those idiots. Well, the joke is on the joke is on us, because we would probably be, I mean, if we didn't have Bitcoin, we would be better off taking our dollars. Well, oddly enough, no, we wouldn't. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is that people used to take their cash in hand, and it was literally, I actually possess the cash now, but you don't really possess it when it sits in the bank like that, like it does today.
There's a great song, I forget the name of it, but it's like there's a joke somewhere, baby, and it's on me. Like, you kind of feel like with a bank and everything going on, like there's a this is somebody's like screwing with, there's something wrong here, and it turns out that if you are leaving money in a bank, the joke's on you. Like it's kind of funny to think about it that way, but I wanted to today have a little fun and talk about meme coins and their place in crypto, and we can go real quick and we'll open up this Forbes article. And Forbes is not the best resource, but I just wanted something quick to throw up here, and it basically says meme coins are cryptocurrencies that have been produced as a lighthearted joke. Nevertheless, some meme coins have ballooned in value and gained multi-billion-dollar market caps. So obviously the original meme coin was Dogecoin, right? And right now, this past week, we've had another one, and I'm going to pull this up on Twitter. I tried to find something reasonable to show people, but it's just all meme coin stuff, okay? And so the idea, there's a coin that came out last week, Pepe coin, and there's the frog, right? Like, we're all familiar with the frog, right? Like, but they had a Pepe coin, and this thing has just surged in value. It's absolutely insane. I mean, I think it's the market cap of this thing was like 700 million or something crazy. But you can kind of get a feel for kind of what this is. And okay, so Binance is listing Pepe coin, and KuCoin is listing Pepe coin. And these meme coins, this is like the okay, so there's Bitcoin, there's crypto projects, and then there's meme coins. If you go from a scale of like legitimate to actually like full-blown crazy human behavior, all right? And these meme coins are fun, and I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I think I think they serve a place in the culture, right? They absolutely do. I mean, they get people excited, they bring people in. It's just part of what crypto is. But at the end of the day, most of the time with these, the people, this is where people get in trouble, because they want to hop in real quick. They see, oh my God, this guy put in $30 and now he has $1 million because Pepe coin is going to the moon. And it's quite frankly, it's dangerous. Now, like we laugh about it, we think it's fun, but if you're new to this space, you got to be really careful with this stuff, because it's the best way in the world to lose money really quickly. Yeah,
it's even more dangerous than playing the lottery, quite frankly. But I'll make the comparison is that you're driving down the street to go get groceries and you see the sign on the side of the road that says Mega Millions 80. You think, oh my gosh, I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket. What do I have to lose? Okay, you go and you buy $10 worth of lottery tickets and you don't hit. Okay, you're out $10. But the thing, I'm going to make an analogy, or I'm going to compare that to what happens by the time like regular people find out about Pepe coin or Dogecoin or whatever, its value has been inflated to a certain, to a level, and it may seem like oh well, I'll put $100 into this because I'm going to get 100 or 1 million back or something like that. And all I'm trying to say is that the dynamic is similar. You can play the lottery, and the reality here, but here's the rub, or the real. Let's get real for a second. You see the lottery sign, and you may think, the lottery is a scam. It's tax on poor people. What I've heard people say that they're like, the lottery is a tax on the poor.
No, it is.
Whatever, man. You can't win the lottery though if you don't buy a ticket. Plain as day. All right. In the same, but in the same, and take that to this meme coin thing, is that the reality is if you don't buy any of these things, then you never have a chance to watch one of them rocket to the moon. And so I still believe at the end of the day, even though you're kind of rolling the dice and you're playing probabilities, at the end of the day, people still should be able to make their own choice. I mean,
well, 100%. Yeah, and
yeah,
that's where. So these are listed on exchanges outside the U.S. And so let's take that frame of thought for a second and say, okay, let's act like Pepe coin is going to retain its value and go higher. Well, right now, U.S. citizens don't have access to that, right? And you could argue, okay, that's a good thing, Josh, because you just basically said, these aren't the best things to own. But I don't know that Pepe coin isn't going to get to, $100 billion market cap. I don't. If enough people decide that this thing is entertaining enough, or if the community gets big enough, it very well may. But the point is, individuals should be allowed to make their own decisions, right? And we're going to sit here and tell you, you probably shouldn't buy this stuff, right? At least, when it goes from zero to, $1 billion market cap, most likely what's going to happen is you are exit liquidity for early buyers, okay? So that's probably what's going to happen. But, look, if this is your thing, if this is what gets you excited, the government shouldn't be able to tell you that you can't participate in this, right? Like, you can listen to me and say, hey, Josh has been around for a while. He knows the probabilities. The truth is, though, people have made money doing this stuff. It's not what I do in crypto. I think it's fun. I think it's like, I'll tweet about it. It's fun to like join the party and play around. But like, the other one that came out was Turbo, and I'm gonna try to. And Turbo was a coin, and I don't even know if this is the right like meme for this or the right Turbo coin, but like, this was a guy that used AI to generate a crypto token and called it Turbo, and Elon Musk commented on it last night and it went up 50%. And I think he commented on that, and I don't want to pull it up and show it because it's a penis strapped to a rocket.
So it's a little less than appropriate for distribution,
like,
quite frankly. I mean, if people want to find this stuff on the internet in the privacy of their own homes, go for it. But I agree that we're not purveyors of that type of stuff.
Look, and it's art. It's an expression of thought, and it is what it is. But I don't want to show it. But Turbo is another token, and these things are interesting, right? They're fun. They may gain traction over time, but if you're new to this, you got to be aware that like this is the other end of crypto investing, right? Like in crypto trading, that this is the wild west, right? And this is the fun part, quite frankly, but it's also where you're likely to lose a lot of money. Now, if you want to participate. I'm going to tell you, probably don't. But there's people in the space that are really, really good at this, but they spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, over years-long periods of time, trying to find the next Pepe, and to buy this on a decentralized exchange, you have to understand how to use wrapped ether. You have to understand how to use like a Uniswap, which isn't that hard to do. But when you're just starting out, these are you can lose money just trying to buy this by not understanding, how all this stuff works, right? And so for the normal person out there that's just getting started, I think this is something to watch, something to kind of laugh at. It brings attention to the space, but ultimately most of these end in giant, like spectacular explosions down. And maybe over time they pick up community. Dogecoin is one. I never bought Dogecoin because I was just like, this is so. The other thing is like most of we call them tokenomics, meaning the economics, the supply schedule, the release schedule of the tokens are ridiculously inflationary, and it's just it's it is what
Yeah,
it is, right?
that was the thing I was gonna a moment or two just talking about the fundamentals, the things that contribute to the price fluctuations or the volatility. And meaning it's easy to look at a speculative instrument like a meme coin and be like, this is garbage, or how come the price went up so high? And, or better yet, if you don't understand where the supply for these things comes from, then you look at it going up and up and up, and you think, oh, it's going to be the next Bitcoin, but it is not. It's very unlikely to be the next Bitcoin, like in terms of like in terms of the way it is produced and the available supply. And that's where a lot of people get smoked, quite frankly, is and I'm speaking from experience because when I first started trading, like actual day trading on an exchange, biotech stocks, penny stocks, I got some very good lessons in understanding where the real risk was. Is that sometimes prices are suppressed. Maybe they're suppressed on purpose. Other times, people's sentiment contributes to prices being way low. And then something happens, and there's a supply constraint for any number of reasons, and a press release goes out. Somebody says something in the media, and then a lot of interest shows up, like buying interest, and it causes prices to go up. But then something else happens that you don't have any control over. The company X issues another million shares or 10 million shares, and all of a sudden the supply dynamic has changed. There's too much supply at the current price. And then when people try to sell to get out of it, the price has to go back down because the buyer of last resort is not going to pay a premium. They're going to they're going to buy at a discount. And these fundamental aspects of markets and supply and demand and things that you don't have any control over. And really, at the end of the day, looking at Pepe, for example, it's still kind of a black box to me. I don't know where Pepe tokens come from. Are they mined? Are they proof of stake? Are they proof of work? What are they? How do they come into existence?
Here's another thing that happened last night that I just happened to see. You don't know who's releasing this. So last night they did a good thing, which means they moved the treasury to a multi-sig wallet, meaning one person doesn't just have control of this. And so sometimes with these tokens, one person will be in complete control of it, and they can pull the plug, i.e. we call it getting rugged, at any point in time. And so that's something you don't know when you buy this stuff, right? And that's something you need to understand when you do this. And crypto is developing, right? There are legitimate projects that have hundreds of millions of dollars in runway to build. They've got teams, they've got treasury management, they've got everything you need. Now in 2015, that wasn't necessarily the case. 2017, not necessarily the case. Now there are legitimate projects that are actually funded and have runway. These kind of things are fun and they're entertaining, and they do serve a role in crypto. What role that is, I don't know. I think what it does is I think Pepe comes in, the thing goes to crazy numbers real fast. People all of a sudden are reminded of what can happen in crypto. But to make it in crypto, you don't need to do this stuff, right? You can take a measured approach. You can slowly dollar cost average in over time. And I think some of the reasons this happens is people get bored. Look, we just went through the worst bear market in crypto history, right? And so we've come out of that a little bit, and people are antsy and bored. We talk about this all the time as investors. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is nothing, right? And that's essentially what you've had to do with crypto for the past year and 5 months, 4 months, is just kind of sit on your hands. And people get bored. They want to see some action, and so this happens. It generates interest in the space. So I think there is a place for this in crypto. I just want anybody listening to be aware that these things happen all the time. This Pepe thing is crazy, right? It's fun to watch. I hope for the holder's sake that if you were able to make life changing money, that you exit, right? At least some of it. Like there's a big difference between the money on the screen, and even if you exit to look, this is what's great about crypto. You don't have to exit to dollars. If you took $30 and now have $1 million worth, you can take half of that, based off where you're at. You're gonna have taxes, maybe not, but or maybe take 200 grand of that and buy Bitcoin and secure, your future for the next 100 years. But a lot of people don't do that. They think this will last forever, and they think Pepe will go up forever, and it's where you get trapped. But overall, it's fun, man. It's exciting. It's interesting. It's funny. But as a new person, if you're new and you're just trying to learn about crypto, these are look, like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to do with your money, but these are very speculative bets.
That is, yeah, that was well spoken. I mean, I think that's a I would call that a downright fair analysis. Is that you can participate and you might win. Who knows? You don't know unless you try. I think at the end of the day, what happens here is that I still believe that even though it can be a bit frustrating and upsetting for some people who take outsized risk and end up losing, there's learning opportunities here for people to understand how to do basic things like take their fiat money and convert it into something else, and then participate in this world where you can purchase things like Pepe coin or a Dogecoin or anything else. But it's a way to get exposure to how the cryptosphere works and how to move value around. And I think that at the end of the day is pretty interesting in and of itself. I mean, kind of like people talk about, marijuana being a gateway drug to others. I think these types of coins could be visible, not visible, but they can help bring visibility, and they become a gateway to people learning about different like other projects that have different utility. I'll call it.
Okay, yeah, no. That's very well said. Let's analyze this meme coin here for a second. Pepe now has a market cap of $1.2 billion. The circulating supply, if I'm reading this right, is 420 trillion, 690 billion. Is that right? Did I read
Yes, that is
right?
420 trillion coins are floating around. And I get the 42069 thing. I get it. All right.
That's awesome.
There will be others that do get it. There will be many others that do not. For another for another broadcast, perhaps, not for this one. But the point is that we don't know where the 420 trillion, 690 billion came from. We don't know if it says that there's a max supply. Look, you're reading pixels on a screen right now. We don't know, but there's no way for us, like in the same way that we can mathematically verify that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. This max supply number here is, I mean, ironically enough, we're being asked to trust, and we're unable to verify, which is the opposite end of the spectrum of Bitcoin, where you don't have to trust anybody. All you have to do is verify. You can run your own node. You can mine yourself as an individual. You can send Bitcoin to anyone that you choose, any hour of the day or night. And you don't have to rely on some central entity that's going to spy on you. You have complete freedom to transact as you will please. You also have the complete freedom to ignore the law if you want at your own peril. So that's the beauty of freedom, is that you have the freedom to choose. And that's what I'm trying to get to with that. But back to Pepe coin for a second. We don't know if the issuer of Pepe coin is going to say, ha ha ha, I have the power. I've created this massive thing. It's now $1 billion in market cap. And I'm going to double the supply, and I'm going to sell my coins, and I'm going to take my dollars and vaporize into the ether. and never to be seen again. And all these folks that were just now learning about Pepe Coin and getting excited about it, thinking there might be some opportunity for that, they're left holding the bag, as they say. And this is the unfortunate thing, is that there are plenty of projects like this that they get some interest, they get some mainstream attention. A lot of newbies come into the space, or people that are just not really aware. They don't understand basic market fundamentals or market dynamics, the supply and demand being one of them. And if somebody makes a decision, some human, the human factor is the biggest threat is what I'm trying to get to, and you just don't know. And but you could also say this about the stock market here in the U.S., for example, is you don't know when Microsoft, who is a reputable organization, they're well capitalized, they have real revenues, they have a real business, but they also they're run by people, and they may choose at any day, any hour of the day or night. You never know when somebody's going to make a decision in the board, and they say, well, let's issue some more shares, let's raise some more money, and all that does is dilute the value of the existing shareholders.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
interesting that when I first got into crypto too, I would this would have been something I jumped all over, because it's real easy to see, okay, wow, this is, look at all these people talking about this, these crypto people, they all know what they're talking about, like they've decided Pepe is the new coin. And what you forget is there's always somebody else on the other side of this, right? There's always somebody waiting to exit. Okay, and when you look at the fundamentals of this stuff, and the circulating supply and the total supply of all this, you just kind of scratch your head and go, okay, like I get why this is happening. I don't want to participate because I don't see the long term value in this. But that doesn't mean that this Pepe coin can't become the the next big thing. It's just you really have to take it with a grain of salt and be really careful with this stuff, because the other thing it does to crypto, which I don't like, is you see these big run up, gets all this attention, bunch of people jump in, it tanks, and then people see, I told you crypto was a scam, and it's
yeah,
like,
that's the real risk here.
and it's like, okay, well, here's what needs to happen in that scenario. The government doesn't need to come in and say you can't buy Pepe coin. People need to lose their money, get smart, learn about what's actually going on, and then not make the same mistake again. That's how this should work. That's how a free market works. If the free market decides that Pepe coin has value and deserves 100 billion valuation, so be it. The chances of that, I don't think are great, but who am I to say, right? But
It's not up to the government, in my opinion. It shouldn't be up to the government, because then they start picking winners and losers, and that's the end of the
correct.
free enterprise and free market system.
Well, and that's what they're
And
doing right now with banks.
yep. And all I have to say is, anybody that thinks this is a good idea, let's. I've got a really great vacation idea for you. Let's pack your ass up. Pardon my French. Let's ship you over to China. Let's ship you over to North Korea. Let's ship you over to Europe. Okay, in some parts, or let's ship you to some other totalitarian state that would execute you at the without a second thought, because you had an idea that was unique. Or think about, was it Cambodia, Pol Pot, the guy who executed 25, that people like Josh here wearing eyeglasses were a threat to society, so they need to be executed. Okay, that's the world that you're. That's the, like in the Lord of the Rings, when he peers into that big vat and he sees the world as it will be, and it's all burning, and everybody's in chains. That's what we're talking about here. If we start letting the free market system and the free enterprise system come under threat, the good news is we don't have to let it come under threat here. We can put you somewhere else, and you can go have a taste of it, like the song "Holiday in Cambodia." Good. Let's do that. Like that's my rant for the
No,
day.
no, it's a great point, because look, this stuff is fun, it's silly. At the end of the day, though, like as a U.S. citizen, you know, it, on a centralized exchange, you don't have the opportunity to participate in this. Now, there are decentralized exchanges that you can use, and the point is, it's your money. You should be able to spend it, invest it, however you want, right? And so the idea of the government coming in and saying you can buy lottery tickets and cigarettes, but not Pepe coin is insane. Like it
That's right.
just
You can go to the store. You can buy food that's not great for you. You can buy alcohol. You can smoke. You can buy lottery tickets because they have the local authorities they have their hand out for that. And you can do all these other things. You can drive without your seatbelt if you want. Uh, you can do all kinds of things that are detrimental to your existence. But they start telling you how to use how you're like what your approved uses of electricity are. What like if I want to go buy something from my neighbor and I want to pay them in crypto of some kind, and they tell me I can't do that. Like you want to tell me I can't own firearms? That's my constitutionally guaranteed right. You start telling me that I have to buy my electricity from an approved provider, or I can't have solar, I can't grow my own food, or any of this stuff. That's overreach, pure and simple, and it's a threat to civil liberties and freedom, and that's an issue for me personally. Sorry.
our right to own Pepe coin shall not be infringed.
That's right, and I'm telling you, the minute the society loses its mind and gives authority to these people to start picking winners and losers and telling you where you can and can't do, you don't even have to let this happen here. Let's get on the plane, go to China, and go experience. You can test drive totalitarianism today.
Like
Do so at your own peril.
Go to North Korea. I mean, I'm a huge advocate of traveling because it allows you to see the world and understand that, there are beautiful places out there, and our government and the way our constitution was, we were set up is unique and special. But look, there are other ways to run a society, right? And if you talk to people in Kuala Lumpur, they got rid of a dictator essentially, brought in a new system. It didn't work. They brought the dictator back, right? And so there's interesting things that happen, but that's a whole other tangent. The point is that if you want to own meme coins, you should be able to own meme coins. I happen to like frogs. This is interesting to me. In no uncertain terms would I ever buy this, right? Now say it hangs around for 5 years and it develops a tradable pattern like Dogecoin has. Then maybe you say, okay, look, this has survived, and there is still interest here. You could say, okay, maybe that's a thesis that I'll do, but you're better off. And here's the other thing that happens with these meme coins. People get in, and for $50 you can buy 3 million Pepe coins, and they think, okay, that's way better than the 0.002 Bitcoin that I can buy with $50, right? And so they go, oh my God, I have three. This is true. 3 million cryptos, and it's
Forgive me.
It's human nature, and the fact of the matter is, you're way better off in most cases buying the Bitcoin, even though on your unit, it might feel like you have something more. With the frog coin, over time, you're going to find that your money was better spent investing in Bitcoin. But my opinion, you do what you want.
Yeah, do what you like. If you want to buy a Pepe coin, you have the right. I believe in, like, I may disagree with your choice, but I will defend to the death your right to choose as you so please and see fit for yourself. Fine citizen.
That was fun. It's nice to talk about stuff that, when the world's falling apart, there is stuff to talk about that
Sorry.
We can laugh at. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. In the face of in a previous life, I played music for a living, and there was this really great band that I just loved, and I would still listen to them today, but they were called the Dazzling Killmen. The Killmen, like dazzling. Okay, that was their name. It was great. They had this one song title was called "In the Face of Collapse." And it was so dramatic. These dudes were so emo. Like if they were Somebody made a good joke once that said if my lawn was that emo, it would cut itself. But these guys were so emo, and it was so dramatic about the state of the world. Now, and they had a good reason to be. I mean, the world is, there's always something really terrible going on.
Well,
We
that's how
just
I
gotta,
feel half the time, like.
yeah. But what I'm trying to say is like is when I think about the state of things, it's like in the face of collapse. Here we are. The face of banking collapse. I think anytime I hear the word collapse, I think of the Dazzling Kilman, just because that song and the way they
Well,
got
no, it's a great
In
analogy.
the
You're
face of
right.
collapse.
like
No, we're potentially on the brink of a third world war, and people are aping into frog coin. Like
yes,
it's look, it may be a conscious escape from all the crazy shit happening in the world. You might just say, look, I can't take all this crazy stuff. I just want I just want 5 million
hey,
Pepe coins.
think of it this way. Somebody could take that money and buy something dangerous like fentanyl or something really bad, which I don't advise you do that, of course. But it could be that with the tools that we have at our disposal, that it prevents somebody from making a different type of choice that may be even worse than that. So I mean, I'm willing to concede that while it's not my token of choice per se, and but I'm also human. I'll just put this out there. Like I look at this and I think, golly, well, if I had been, and the thought really is very simple. It's like, well, if I had been paying attention earlier, I know better now than to go larping into this. I'm just saying, I have a look at it and I think, if I had been paying attention, this might not have been a bad bet because it's working. If it had fizzled out, I would have been like, gosh,
Well, we can talk
I'm
about too
disciplined.
the cultural side about this. I mean, the Pepe meme is a cultural phenomenon, right? And so
It is.
there's actually there's something behind this, right? So, and in crypto you have communities, and maybe there's a community that gets built around Pepe and what the meme represents to whoever, and there's that aspect of it too, which I don't think is something to kind of poke fun at, because I think it's very important, right?
Can't discount it at all. I agree
No,
with this 100%. That's actually probably the most important part. So
no,
anyway,
but yeah, yeah. So
well,
that's what meme coins are. Participate at your own risk, right? Like it's fun, it's exciting. Like look at if you're gonna do this stuff, make sure you look at total supply. Look at try to figure out where their treasuries are held. I mean, nobody does this stuff. I'll be honest with you. Like there's people that are serious about this and want to know all these things before they make it. But most people look at this and say, "Holy shit, this thing's going crazy. I got to get in quick." And then but whatever. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I'm going to advise you strongly against it. But like if you're just starting, if you're somebody that's listening to this and this is your game and this is what you do to make a living, hey man, I envy you. I wish I could do it and make money, but my game is a longer game. And I see the value of Bitcoin in certain crypto projects having mass change effects of the world over time and being adopted in a way that hasn't really happened since the cell phone. So I play a different game. Ted plays a different game. But if you want to try this, I mean, just be aware of the risk. And it is fun. It gives you something. It's an escape. But be very, very careful with your money when you do this, because most times what happens is you get these big run-ups and it just falls up a cliff. That may or may not happen here. I don't know the future. But we just wanted to bring this up, and if you're into this and you're just getting into it, this is the other side of crypto. This is we don't usually talk about this. This is the I don't know what the word is. This is the speculative side. This is the millionaire overnight side that does happen. So very
it's
very I probably know, I don't know, I probably know, let's just say I know 100 people that are in crypto. I don't know one that's ever become a millionaire overnight. And so, you see it on Twitter, you see it everywhere, but you got to remember, it's like anything else. I mean, there's tens of millions, hundreds of millions of crypto participants in the world, and most of them don't become wealthy overnight. So the chances of somebody just getting into crypto and deciding, this is what they want to do, very small, but hey, that's why we're here.
And with that, that's our first journey into talking, our first foray into talking about meme coins. I think it's fun. I think I'll put a stake in the ground here. Let's say in 2 weeks' time, how many new meme coins show up as a result of this speculative energy that has emerged.
Sure, it's meme coin season. I mean, that's what's going on, and I
So we'll
don't like it
see.
because it takes away from you know projects that are actually building things and doing things. But look, it serves its purpose, and so with that, and we will get into other projects that I think are valuable. With that, I want to be real careful though with that because you you really got to do your own research and understand. I have zero issue telling somebody to buy Bitcoin or ETH, or even Solana because I think those projects have been battle tested and will continue to be around for a very long time. Some of the other ones, they're building real world value and have real world use cases. So I think they're important to talk about. But meme, meme coins, meme coins are just fun. So that being said, I'm going to throw up this disclaimer that I highly recommend you read and take heed to. This is for educational purposes. Anything you do when you enter these markets, you're doing so at your own risk. Ted and I are not financial experts. We are two crypto enthusiasts that want to get more people involved in crypto because we believe it can change the world. But anything you do at your own risk. Don't listen to anything we say and make financial decisions based on